If I told you that bowl of cornflakes you had for breakfast this morning was intended to curb sexual arousal and masturbation, would you be surprised? In this video, we'll talk about why cornflakes were developed, the history of the Kellogg Company, and how religion had a huge impact on the direction they took. But before we get into that, we need to go further back in time, because this story is much bigger than just the Kellogg Company, and it involves many different players. And I believe this story, at least partially, is the cause of many of the health issues we are dealing with today. This is a story about religion, control, and diabetes. Guys, just before we get started, a word from today's sponsor, the subscribe button. I've got a goal of getting to 50,000 subscribers by the end of April. And I'd really appreciate it if you could take the split second right now to smash the subscribe button, and let's get to that 50K goal together. Thank you so much. This story begins with the birth of the Harmon twins on November 26, 1827 in Gorman, Maine. One of the twins, Ellen, would grow up to become very influential on the Kellogg Company and the world, with that influence continuing on to the present day. You see, Ellen was involved in the creation of a religion. When Ellen was in her early teens, she became involved in a religion called Millerism. These were the teachings of William Miller, who believed the second advent of Jesus Christ would happen on October 22, 1844. By the end of the day on October 22, it was clear that Jesus Christ was not going to make an appearance. This frustrated Miller's followers, and October 22, 1844 came to be known as the Great Disappointment. Following the Great Disappointment of 1844, Ellen Harmon would go on to experience further disappointment by getting married in 1846. The previous year, she'd met a man called James Springer White, another Millerite, and it wasn't long before they were walking down the aisle. Over her life, perhaps because of Millerism or perhaps because she'd got married, Ellen developed some strong views about sexuality and masturbation. And she wrote prolifically about these issues, writing that masturbation was self-abuse and the cause of disease. Now, for most people, Ellen's busy schedule of waiting for Jesus, getting married, and anti-masturbation writings would be enough. But Ellen, now known as Ellen G. White, wasn't resting on her laurels. Between 1844 and 1863, she claims to have received 200 visions from God. Oddly, not one of these visions mentioned when the second advent of Jesus Christ was likely to be. Most of these visions came to Ellen when she was in a public place. Reports about her demeanor during these visions were that she would swoon, stop breathing, and not blink. On June 6, 1863, she had a particularly important vision, a vision about health and disease. The vision showed her that vegetarianism was the proper human diet to save humankind and the cure of disease. And to quote Ellen G. White, "Grains, fruits, nuts, and vegetables constitute the diet chosen for us by our Creator." Anyway, following all these visions and swooning and not blinking, Ellen goes on to found the Seventh-day Adventist Church with hubby James and some other randos from the Miller movement in Michigan in 1863. And Ellen goes on to become the spiritual leader of the church. And as the leader who is a vegetarian, she takes a keen interest in medical work and health reform. And she goes on to found many health sanitariums or health spas around the country. The most famous of these being the Battle Creek Sanitarium in Battle Creek, Michigan in 1866. So far we've heard about visions, swooning, not blinking, founding a religion, and vegetarianism as the savior of humankind. And if you think it's weird up to this point, we're just getting started. Things really go off the rails from here. Ellen G. White goes on to hire Seventh-day Adventist John Harvey Kellogg to run the Battle Creek Sanitarium. John Kellogg ran what became known as the SAN from 1876 to 1943. Under his leadership, John Kellogg turned the San into a premier hotel, health spa, hydrotherapy center, and hospital. Keep hydrotherapy in mind. Working with John Harvey Kellogg to run the sanitarium was his brother William Keith Kellogg. While John managed the whole show, William toiled away as the bookkeeper. And at their busiest times, there were 800 other employees. The sanitarium became an exclusive retreat for the rich and famous, and became world-renowned as a place to regain lost health. And how did they do this? John Kellogg encouraged everyone to eat a low-fat, low-protein vegetarian diet. Yum! Daily exercise was important, as well as daily enemas. That's right, up the bum. And various liquids were used for these enemas, including yogurt. I just hope it was low-fat yogurt. The vegetarian diet, the enemas, the absolute abstinence from tobacco, alcohol, and sexual activity were designed to clear your intestinal flora, according to John Kellogg. He also believed, based on the teachings of Ellen G. White and the Seventh-day Adventist Church, that foods should be bland, soft, and easy to digest. The idea being that these kind of foods would minimize sexual excitement, arousal, and masturbation. So John began experimenting, developing some foods. He wanted to make something that was easy to chew. Using wheat, oats, and corn, he made a dough which he baked at a high temperature, and then broke into small pieces. The result was initially marketed as granola and eventually became cornflakes. William Kellogg was excited by what his brother had created and wanted to expand. He suggested adding sugar to make it more palatable. John Kellogg didn't like this idea, and they had a falling out. So in 1906, William started his own company, the Battle Creek Toasted Cornflake Company. This would go on to become the Kellogg Company that we know today. The same company that manufactures and markets cornflakes, Pop-Tarts, and Pringles. And this was all made possible by William Kellogg's idea of adding sugar to the product which John Kellogg had designed. Sugar really is a wonder drug.
Okay? But when you process it, low-fat processed food, it tastes like cardboard. It tastes like crap. Okay? So the food companies knew that, so what did they do? They had to make it palatable. So how do you make it something palatable that has no fat in it? You add the sugar, right? So everybody remember Snackwells? Okay, so 2 grams of fat down, 13 grams of carbohydrate up, 4 of them being sugars so that it was palatable. Okay? Well, we've just shown you that that's the worst thing you could do. And that's what we've done. And we're still doing it today. So when you find a mistake, what do? Okay? You admit the mistake and you right the ship. We haven't admitted the mistake, and we haven't righted the ship.
John Kellogg passed away in 1943, and William in 1951. And so you might be thinking, well, it's all okay. The Kellogg brothers are gone. Kellogg's is now a corporation. And anyway, I don't eat cornflakes or any other breakfast cereals. But there's a problem. Remember that John Kellogg was focused on eating a bland, vegetarian-only diet based on the teachings of his church. And that church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, was led by a woman, Ellen G. White, promoting the same kind of eating. Remember that Ellen G. White thought that this kind of eating was a way of controlling self-abuse and curing disease. To eat a bland, meat-free diet. And the Seventh-day Adventist Church still has a lot of influence on the way we are told to eat today. Over the years, the church has established numerous secondary schools, colleges, and hospitals, all promoting a plant-based way of eating. The church has also conducted health studies which appear to show the health benefits of a plant-based diet. And, get this, the American Dietetics Association was founded in 1917, and one of its co-founders was Lena Francis Cooper, the first lead dietitian at the Battle Creek Sanitarium. Unsurprisingly, the American Dietetics Association position on a plant-based diet is that it's healthful and helps prevent and treat disease. Diseases like sexual arousal. Just a look at how influential the church might be. 5 out of the 9 authors of a vegetarian position paper from the American Dietetics Association were Seventh-day Adventists. The Seventh-day Adventist Church also runs a company called Sanitarium. This is a health and well-being company which mainly has a presence in Australia and New Zealand, and they manufacture foods such as breakfast cereals. They also provide medical information and fact sheets to doctors. The fact sheets contain recommendations for patients with diabetes and obesity. All that said, if you're not concerned enough already, would it make you concerned to know that there are potentially Adventists on the committee to decide the dietary guidelines for Americans? And if Adventists are influencing what governments recommend the general public eat, then it's no wonder we are being pushed more and more plant-based. Guys, thanks for watching this brief introduction to a very big issue. Please don't forget to click like and subscribe, and if you enjoy my channel and you'd like to support what I'm doing, consider becoming a channel member. Click the join button under this video or the first link in the description. Thanks again, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.